Hello, fabulous humans. Welcome back to the Confident Writer podcast. If you have been with me for any amount of time in podcast land, you will know that very recently I have been in Texas for Robyn Schiller's Journey On podcast summit. And so far, I haven't really chatted about my experiences there. So I thought about that and I thought about getting on and talking about it, obviously. But it felt better to actually bring some other people into the fold. So this is what I did purely for selfish reasons because I get to have all of or some of my favorite people in one space. So you're going to be listening to not just me today, you're going to be listening also to Robyn Schiller in all of her glory, the instigator, preparation person, and execution person of the whole summit in general. And she's incredible. I'm excited for you to hear from her. Kathy Price, one of my bestest and most closest friends, we roomed together at the summit, we danced together, we had mild panic attacks together, and then we got through it all together. And so she is here today to talk with you as well. And my newest friend, Dickson, I knew of her prior to the summit, but I didn't meet her until I was actually in San Antonio. So I'm very blessed to have her with us today. And we're going to be having a conversation, just telling you how it rolled out, what our experiences were, and a little bit of other stuff as well. So before I release you into the wilds to listen to that conversation, you can still buy the recordings to the podcast summit. You can do that via summit.warwickschiller.com, or you can buy them on my website as well, confidentwriter.online. With that in mind, here we go. The fabulousness that is Robyn Schiller, Kathy Price, and Dickson. Okay, fabulous people, I am here under the ruse or guise of recording a podcast so that I can get all of my favorite people in one space and chatter with them. But the amazing Robyn Schiller, Kathy Price, and Dickson are here with me today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We thought we would have, well, I thought, and then I sent out the tentacles into the world to gather people into this space, that I thought it would be really fun to have a bit of a riff session on the Journey On podcast summit that the amazing Robyn and Warwick put together and that we were all a part of, because it's been such a massive part of all of our lives for the last couple of weeks. And for me personally, it's been a real catalyst for many different changes, and I definitely don't feel the same coming out as I did going in. And so I don't have all of the words yet. Christine was just saying this as well, that it's been a lot to process, but I thought coming together and talking with some of my favorite people that I shared it with would be a good place to start. So welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Do we want to go through a little, it's like the circle where we all hold hands and say, do you want to introduce yourselves? Tell me who you are and what you do in the world. Should we start from that place based on the assumption that maybe people don't know all of us or some of us?
Only if I get to go last.
Yes. Like Christine, you can start. Go, Christine.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, so mean. Mean girls already. Okay. I don't even, what do? You know what I realized? Just to kind of quantify what a brain melting weekend we had, I realized I was so, in another dimension by the last day. I was telling people who were asking me for my email address and I was giving them my website. And I didn't even realize it because it kept sitting in my head like, something's wrong about what you said. And, it was just kind of sitting in my head. And later I realized, oh yeah, this is my email. I was giving it. So if that gives you any idea of how much information we got. But
what was your name again?
Yeah. What's my name? My name is Crissi Dickson. And I work with people to find their life purpose. I mean, that's really the nut at the middle of what I like to do. And I love it when people aren't quite sure what that is yet, and we get to figure it out. And people always have so much more going for them than they were able to see for themselves. And yeah, it's just really exciting. And I use clinical hypnotherapy and the horses in that process too.
Very beautiful. Thank you. Robyn, round table.
Well, it's interesting because I've worked with all three of you independently.
Oops.
You know, you've all had this piece of helping me find, you know, find myself, find what I'm good at. And I think I found something. You know, I think the organization of this event, whatever it was, you know, I think it was easy for me. And so it did make me think that maybe I'm onto something, and maybe, you know, and all of you had a huge part in that. And yeah, so I'm Robyn Schiller. I produced the Journey on Summit podcast with my husband and my son, who, you know, they were awesome. And then, you know, brought 23 awesome presenters together, and they just slammed it. You guys all smashed it. You brought yourselves and more, and it was epic.
That's so cool. And I will say, reflecting back to you, that I would in no shape or form be who I am today without you. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And so you've been such a touchstone for me. And I'm just so grateful that you put up with my fangirling in the very, very early days when I first met you. And you got over my initial burst of enthusiasm to still maintain a friendship. And that's a massive credit to you. So well done.
I'll never forget that day ever. It
was
one of my best days ever. Well, so for those that haven't heard this story, Warwick and I were at, and let me correct, she wasn't fangirling over me, she was fangirling over Warwick. We went to Equidays in New Zealand. It's a big horse expo, and gosh, I don't know, it was like 2014 or 2015.
I think it was like 13 or 14. I think it was a while ago.
And we had just set up we had set up the booth, and we were walking out of these big glass doors, and I don't remember exactly the squeak that came, but it was Jane and one of her friends. I can't think of her name right now. I can see her face, they introduced themselves, and I don't know, it was a fangirl moment. It was actually probably the first ever fangirl moment that we had experienced. Like
the original fangirl.
Yes.
Number one.
I guess, yeah. Yeah.
Well, the context to that was I had been so ill just prior to that, and I'd had some kind of, I don't know, lurgy. And so I was up all night because I couldn't stop coughing. And I underwent the associate degree of Warwick Schiller horsemanship through the website. Like, I just binged all of the videos. And at that time I had some challenges with my horse and jumping into that world was like, there were a lot of revelations that came off the back of that I found really helpful. And then, so I had the experience, which I know a lot of people have online, where you have a very one-directional relationship with someone, but you feel like you're really close.
Yeah.
And so when I saw you both come out, I was like, I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much for these videos. And like, I went on like this, and then, but the unfortunate experience for Warwick and Robyn was they had a perfect segue, because we were just about to do an orientation tour for presenters and people that were actually teaching as part of Equidays. And unfortunately for them, I also was. And so they were like, oh, well, we have to go because we're going on this orientation thing. And I'm like, same, let's link hands and go together. So, but it was really fun. There was no getting out of it. So over the next,
but we did not want to.
Yeah. But then we spent sort of like, we had our booths relatively close to each other, right? And I barnacled onto you, and it served me well. So yeah, but Kathy, hi.
Hello. Hello. Oh God, I'm croaking. Excuse me.
It's very sexy.
Oh, gosh, don't, that will set me off again. No, hi, yes. Well, who am I? it's a really good point. Everything you've said about coming back from the summit is so true, because I have literally just written a piece and sort of said, I don't know what version of me I am at this precise moment. It's like, I have no idea. So, but basically my work is Point of Balance, which is about helping people and horses and animals heal themselves. I'm a facilitator, not a healer. So I have a lot to be grateful for, from especially Robyn and Warwick, because without you, I would not have had the exposure via the podcast to begin with. And so I wouldn't have been able to help so many people. And then obviously having the experience at the actual summit, which, you said about it was like a weekend. No, it wasn't. It was 7 months, okay? Because from the moment that you said I was going to be on that podcast, it was like that was all consuming, right? Everything else can go to the bin. I'm just concentrating on this. So yeah, it was massive in my life, and it lived up to every expectation 1,000-fold and plus. And Robyn, from the bottom of my heart, I have to say thank you. The ease of everything just showed the organization behind it, because it was just easy. You just stepped into it. Anything you wanted, it was there. It was all ready and waiting. So it made it so beautiful. And I mean, that's aside from obviously the combination of everybody coming together and the energetic side, which is, a whole different discussion. So yeah, I'm here very much because of Warwick and Robyn, but also because of the glorious Jane Pike, because I've latched onto her coattails. Like, you're not getting away from me, Janie. You're mine, okay? You're mine. You are if nothing else, you're my shopping partner. We support each other quite well in that respect.
I'm an enabler.
An enabler.
Of your habits.
Yes. Yes. And I've got a very weak will, because you say bye and I do, it's just like very easy. And then Christine, she and I connected, and we were both sort of sitting there going, does she really want to speak to me? Why does she want to speak to me? Who am I to speak to her? And so I'm just in a really, really happy place sitting here. Thank you very much.
Well, Christine, I met you at the summit, and then it was like instant kinship. I hadn't met you before, but I knew your name, and then it was like, what are you doing for lunch, or where are we going? And it was really fun to have to be there and to get to know everyone. And that's it's like what you created, Robyn, like Kathy and Christine have said, like it's actually ruined me for every other experience that I'm going to have, because it's such a high benchmark to live up to. But in that there was an incredible sense of kinship and connection, I guess, that came out of it, that feels very much like it's going to be sustaining. Like, it's not like a weekend in Vegas where you were like, wow, that was so great, but probably never going to hear from those people again. And what did they do in the chapel? Like, it wasn't like that. It was like this amazing experience, but it has longevity as well, like the sustaining of connection. So do you want to start by talking about, or continue on with talking about, where the idea came from in the first instance and what it looked like for you guys in the lead up?
Sure. First, I'll say something to that point about the instant kinship. Sorry, still fighting the flu a little. That is a feedback that we keep getting. We have a summit group on Facebook, and that comment keeps coming up over and over again, where people say they just sat down and whoever was next to them, they were instant friends. It was like they knew each other. And so that's just really, that's just great to hear. And it's been multiple people who said that, like they just instantly felt connected and attached to people at the event. The idea for it was mine. Warwick and I, debate about that, but I will take the credit for the idea of bringing people together. My vision of it was a lot different from what it ended up being, because my idea, I was still under the impression that it was a horse podcast, and it's really not. It's morphed into, it started that way, but it's morphed into so much more. And when we first set the date and the venue, it was at a horse venue. It was at a place where you guys, Jane and Kathy, had both been to a horse expo. And about a month later, after I'd got all the contracts signed by all the presenters, Work's like, this is not about horses. Like I don't see horses being a part of this. And so we sat down. I'm like, okay, well, you better, like, we need to figure this out now. And so that's when he's like, we just need to have a hotel. We need to be at a conference room, and we need to bring these people together. And so I got a crash course in trying to find a venue, realized how expensive most of them were. And, I wasn't sure how it was going to work. But found some really good resources online. And, there actually is a hotelplanner.com website that helps. And that's how I found the Drury. I originally was looking at Tucson and Phoenix. So those are in Arizona. And then, they were pretty expensive, and I didn't want to have to pass that on. And, being an inaugural event, I didn't know how many people would want to come. And we knew we wanted to keep it semi-intimate, so 200 of our closest friends. And I had been to the Brene Brown workshop in San Antonio on the Riverwalk. And one of I guess that's what got me thinking about San Antonio. So I popped in, San Antonio as a venue on that hotelplanner.com website. And the Drury came back with this, with a really good proposal. And I really liked the fact that they had the free breakfast and they had the free kickback in the afternoon, even though the food was not, it was okay. It wasn't great. But it was a place where we could all mingle, and the venue turned out to be way better than I had expected. The Riverwalk was really fantastic. I think it ended up being, a really great venue. And I won't talk too much longer, but the presenters, we didn't really know what the content or the format was going to be until a couple months before, because we had 22 people. And it was like, well, what do we do? How do we get all these people to make it worth them coming, and get everybody as much exposure as possible? And I forget who came up with the idea of well, why not a TED Talk? And then I put it out on social, like saying, we want to do a TED Talk, but we can't use TED. So what's another acronym? And so people threw it around, and we came up with TikTok, Teach, Inspire, Connect, which was perfect. Play on TikTok and really does get to the guts of what we're trying to do. And then we knew we wanted to have panel discussions, and really it just really, after we put that out there, everybody was on board, and just, everybody, all the presenters came together and made it what it was, really. We just gave them the framework, and then you guys filled in all the blanks. And then with Cindy and Liz there, and Tyler and Jason, as the support, I didn't tell them what they were, Tyler knew what he was doing, but Cindy and Liz and Jason, we did, it was like, well, here's what needs to happen. And it just all worked out. Just everybody stepped up and executed.
Yeah, that was phenomenal to me. When Kerry first got up there, I was like, well, okay, that's a high bar. Like, this is she in every respect. I was like, okay, I have the tiger. This is good. You've got this. It's fine. And then like literally every person afterwards was of the same caliber, like the in terms of the content, in terms of the delivery. Like, I could have sat there for days more listening to people, because it was just so hitting the mark on every level for me. And I don't know what it was about it. I mean, I do know, but it's hard to articulate. It became its own beast in the best possible way. Like, as you stepped into it, I had no real idea about what to expect, apart from I was going to see and be a part of a conversation with people that I'd admired and looked up to for a really long time. So that felt really humbling. And I had to keep saying, what am I doing here? No, it's okay. I can be here. This is good. And that was incredibly exciting. But then just to be instantly included, like there was no hierarchy, there was no any of that, which was so beautiful. I mean, I'm using all of the same words. I need to come up with better words than beautiful, amazing, so great. Like, I'm like, are you really limited to those adjectives, Jane? Like, we need to get a better vocab going. But yeah, it was amazing. And Christine, you at the end, so yours was the most kind of impromptu of all of them. Do you want to talk about what happened there?
Well, it turns out that Robyn and Warwick are my greatest teachers right now, because they are the biggest forces pushing me outside of my comfort zone in the past few months. Well, I would really quick like to say, for the people that didn't get to go, when we talk about how perfect this was, what Robyn was able to put together, I don't think I've ever been to any event, and I've been to a lot, that it's not only were the people so great, but you didn't want for anything. You didn't need a rental car, right? You just got to the hotel. And the fact that they had breakfast and dinner too, it was a place for not only everyone to connect in the actual event, but you got to then download it all to each other and talk to each other. None of the presenters were like, behind the velvet ropes, they were all really interested in connecting with everyone. And I think that having that space in the morning and in the evening, when you got up in the morning, you went down and hi, everybody, you're getting, really did a lot for the cohesion of the group. And then you can just walk outside and go to lunch and people be like, hey, you're going to lunch? We're going to lunch. You want to come to it? It couldn't have been more perfect. So what was the question? Oh yeah, I remember now. So when I bought my tickets for this, I was still off the radar, right? I was just a fangirl as well of all of you, and was so excited to get my tickets. So when I ended up going, and then I had been on the podcast, it was definitely a different experience. I don't think I've ever been in a group where people might know me that I don't know, that kind of situation. And I love being around people. I really, really do. I love this kind of thing. But I get overloaded pretty early. Like before the end of the day, I'm walking around with a smile on my face and my eyes are glazed over. So on Saturday, while I'm trying to absorb everything I'm getting, I think I ran into work in the elevator, and he's like, oh, Robyn wants to talk to you. And I was like, okay. So I go down and Robyn's there and I'm like, hey, she's like, what's up? And she's like, well, Tyler was going to close out. He was going to be the last speaker, but he doesn't want to do it because he's doing too much with his job. So we would like you to do it. And understand, I had been sitting in the audience already watching these amazing speakers thinking, I'm so happy I have a year to put together what I'm going to say next year, because these are so good. And I love the humor everyone brought. I love the fun part, the lightness. So to be asked to, I remember looking at her. No, I don't know. She might have a different, I remember going, can I think about it for a minute? Because I was both incredibly honored and excited and humbled to be asked, and at the same time freaking out, like at the responsibility and can you do this equally. And then it didn't take long. I had to go find Robyn because I was like, what are you doing? Your whole mantra is you say yes to what shows up. You say yes. If it's showing up, that means it's meant to show up. That means you say yes. So I found her and I said yes.
You did this.
I'm in. I'm in. The funniest aspect, though, is I wish I could have recorded the exchange I had with Robyn and Warwick the next day in the morning,
when I went up to them, I said, okay, I want to tell you guys about what I'm thinking about, what I'm going to say, because I really needed to lean on them to get some feedback, like, and they're both standing there, and then Warwick's like looking around the room while I'm talking, like, and Robyn's kind of like looking at me like, and they're like, yeah, we don't care. We know you're, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. I need you to listen. I need you to tell me I'm going to be okay. And they just kind of walked off. So, yeah. So the fact that I did, all those things, don't trip, don't faint, don't go blank. Go ahead.
From our perspective, when you were explaining what you're going to say, it was like, yes, of course. It was like, yes, whatever you're saying to us, yes. Like it was all perfect.
And I was thinking,
that's why we're
they
like,
have too much faith in me.
No, because we knew it would be perfect. We knew. Yeah.
We'll see.
And it's interesting because nice. Carrie Lake had texted me, and I could actually read you what she said. And I think I forwarded it to you. Yeah. And you're like, yep, got it. That's, so we were all on the same page about what needed to happen at the end. And then the dance party. Well, that was, that had to happen.
That was so amazing because I was so nervous about, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go up after Rupert. Like what, like that's going to be a big thing too. Like, how am I going to keep, and then how beautiful that it was. This crazy dance got me right out of my head, right into dancing like a crazy person with everybody else. That was great. I mean, and then what I wonder. So Kyle Cease, I know I've talked about him before. He does these 3-day events with no script. And the reason he does them with no script, no agenda, is because he says, if I go in there with a script, then I'm going to be focused on what I thought in the past was what needed to show up in the present. No. And I won't be present to what's actually trying to unfold in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if Rupert knew he was going to do that all along, or if he was absorbing the weekend and decided that was what was needed and so perfect for the end, because it really was.
I suspect it was probably the latter.
I do too.
Yeah. And for me, I so resonate with that because I never practice anything. And the only reason I had slides was because I never only talk for 20 minutes. So I was like, I need a framework to keep me on track. Otherwise, I'm going to go way off. And so I thought, okay, I'll have these prompts and that will be generally what I talk around. And then on the morning of our talk, because Kathy and I, we were on the same day. Yeah, we were on the same day. I was in the morning, Kathy was in the afternoon. It gets to that stage where I recognize my process before speaking, which is mild to high level panic. And then I move into, I have no idea. I have no words, like literally nothing is in my head. I cannot think of one single word to say. And then I get to the thing and it's like, it's all kind of there. And I recognize that from several experiences. And Kathy's been with me through those trajectories as well. So on this morning, I was like, okay, I'm going to put on AC/DC. I'm going to listen to Thunderstruck. And then Kathy put on the Moulin Rouge soundtrack, and we were like dancing in the bed in the hotel room, and that was really fun. But do you want to talk about your experience, Kathy, and how talk us?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and I will reiterate, that is your pattern. Having seen you at the expo in 2019 and sharing an RV with you, and Jane would be on her bed going, notes flying everywhere. I know nothing. And then she'd go and she'd present and she would be awesome. And I saw this happening 2 or 3 times and I went, okay, that's her process. This is fine. So when she started doing it again in San Antonio, it was like, no, she's cool. This is just something she has to go through.
She gave me nothing, no support,
nothing.
No backup.
Well, I'm a true friend, come along.
She's like, we'll go shopping afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Go spend some more money. No, for me, it was, I must say there was quite a bit of imposter syndrome there. quite a lot of the time when I saw the different names, like Jim Masterson, Mark Rashid, Crissi Mc Donald, Kerry Lake, and I'd never spoken in that way before to that many people in front of me. I felt I could do it because I know I've got a gob on me, but it was also a bit of a, oh shit, am I going to actually do this or what? Am I going to remember what I've got to say? And it was very true what I said in the talk, how 6 weeks prior to that, those words came to me literally in half an hour. And I wrote them all down, and that was my talk, except my talk, when I wrote it down, it was 35 minutes long. So there had to be some extreme chopping going on there. So I had sort of confidence in that. I thought, this is what's meant to be. I'm just going to go with the flow, and it feels right as long as I can present it. But it was what you were saying, Christine, about, and Robyn, about the kinship. I've never hugged so many people. I mean, I was absolutely in my element because it was
you're
like,
a
yes,
hugger.
come along, I'm here.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I love hugging people. And if they come at me with a cross in front of them, I go, no, okay, fair enough, I'll stay back. But it was that, and people were just hugging back. There was that total exchange and total comfort, and you'd see them every day and you'd hug them again. I mean, I was just loving it. It was so cool.
They're coming in for another one.
Yes, I know. Yeah. They must be
Awkwardly
desperate.
long hugs too.
Hugs, yes. Okay, we can go now. Okay, yes. Oh, it's 5 minutes. Yeah, carry on. No, I mean, I didn't care how long they went on, but it was a bit of a strange experience, as you said, Christine. I think people you don't know coming up to you, and sort of I'm looking at name tags, hoping to God that the name tag is the right way around, so that then I might get a glimmer of who they were. And then having photos taken, it's like, oh, hi, I hate my photo being taken, but carry on, and then there's all these photos of me out on the internet, which is, I've now got used to my photo being taken, and it's fine. It's just, there is
Crash
one
course.
photo that I think Jane
I know
took,
the one.
not you.
No.
Yeah. Jane Kameny Brown, and she took a photo, and I was pulling a face because I was just making fun, and she took that one photo and she walked off, and I'm like, come back, please don't use that photo. And she did, and it's the funniest photo out there.
The big lesson from the summit is never think that more than one photo is going to be taken.
Yes.
Prepare for the
Yes.
single photo.
Always prepare for the single photo. I mean,
knowing
it's
it
time,
may
right?
live forever in eternity on the
Yes.
internet.
Yes. Oh, there's that photo again. Yay. No, I mean, you got used to it after the first day, and then you started to see the same faces. And I loved as well when we could have the breakfasts. I think they were a fantastic thing, because people seem to relax more and be free to ask questions, which they might not have otherwise. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the whole thing. But yeah, giving the talk it was amazing how the minute I walked onto the stage, and I think, Jane, you said the same, my mouth went like the bottom of a parrot's cage. It was like, gung, 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 gung. I had no saliva left in my mouth.
Cage.
It's just, it's
Such an attractive visual.
It was quite a common saying over here. So yeah, that was quite how do I speak now? But I loved it. Loved every second of it. And it gave me a lot of confidence in that there we were on a timed. So I had to be really careful to try and, keep to that time. And I knew I could expand. So I knew I could give a talk. That's the other really massive thing it gave to me. So I'm so grateful for that.
Did you have a favorite part of it, Robyn?
Well, to be honest, I'm just now going back and watching the footage, because there were only a couple of people that I watched. I watched both of yours, the whole thing, all three of yours. I watched the TikToks in entirety, and I think I watched Dr. Peters, but I didn't watch, I was off flitting around doing things, making sure things were happening. I think one of my favorite and most touching parts was Nahashon singing. It was just very touching and right before he went on, I was sitting next to him and he had his beads and he asked me to hold them when he went up. And I just thought that was such an honor to step into that. I mean, it was just, it was an honor. And then he went up and started singing and it was just, it was very moving. And so for me, that part probably was one of the highlights.
I love that. How about you, Christine?
Oh gosh. Do you know what? I know I mentioned this a little while ago, but one of the things that I really, really loved and was discovering how funny everyone was. Like everyone was so funny and relaxed. And, there was that last dinner with Jane and Nahashon just cracking up the entire time, like they were siblings at the dinner table at home, like just laughing. But there was so much of that camaraderie and the feeling like we are all in this together, even between the presenters and the quote unquote audience members. Like there was a lot of humility. Let's put it that way. Like you don't usually go to these type of things and experience the people on the stage with so much humility and warmth and openness that they are down amongst everyone else, taking pictures, answering questions, cracking jokes. That was the thing that I can't put my finger on any one thing. It was that really resonated with me the most.
I love that too. Oh, in speaking to that as well, like for me, I am very serious and passionate and focused on what I do. And I'm also ridiculous. Like I love humor is my way of life. Like that's how one of my favorite memes coming into the summit that I read about was, are you even good enough to have imposter syndrome? And like every time I read that, it just made me feel better because it was like, it wasn't self-deprecating, it just lightened the experience. And what I love about the whole summit was that I would never say that I'm not myself, but I am capable of like putting a different aspect of my personality forward depending on the situation. Like I can be a chameleon depending on the situation and the context, right? And so in this context, I was allowed to be like completely all of the things that I am. And I didn't feel at any point that like, oh, that was that was a bit much. Or like, I didn't have that conversation with myself of like, oh, that joke doesn't translate across to this country. Like I didn't have any of those experiences. And, like you said, with Nahashon and others, like, so you have this amazing, soulful being that is just bringing forward these incredible words and song and it just emanates from him. And at the same time, you can be weeping with laughter about talking about your buffalo chicken wings or whatever they are, like it's all good, like it's all there. And I just was so appreciative of that. And I think for me, that's also what bred the instant kinship, because everyone was just totally themselves. There was no pretense, there was no like having to be something. You didn't have a professional facade or anything like that, which is not something I'm capable of cultivating anyway. But it was lovely to sit in the space with others who are also with that, because there is so much of that out there. There is so much of the I need to be this or I am this person, or because the world is kind of mixed, isn't it? And so to be able to just be yourself is such a gift.
I thought on that vein, I thought that there was some transformations over the weekend. Like I think there were a few presenters who came in guarded, but figured out pretty quickly that they didn't need to be. And by the end of it, Nahashon was one of them. You know, when he came in on Thursday or Friday, he was more reserved. And then by Sunday night, you guys were, cacking each other up. But I saw a huge transformation in Nahashon, Mark Rashid as well. He seemed to blossom and open up by that
Mark is my heart. What an amazing human.
Yeah.
And Crissi, I can't say enough good words.
Yeah. So it was interesting from that perspective to see, how I think they really felt safe. I think everybody there felt safe enough to be themselves, but I think I saw some, I don't know, I saw some people blossom. I think I saw some changes and it was really cool to see.
Yeah. I was sitting, sorry, Kathy,
sorry,
go for it. No.
No, you go. No, you go.
I was just going to say, I was sitting next to Mark when we did there was a couple of little sessions for autograph signing. And I was sitting next to him and I was critiquing his signature, as part of it shows a little bit more personality. And we were just bantering back and forth between us. And at one point I had to pinch myself because I'm like, is this really happening? I'm sitting next to Mark Rashid. I've looked up to him for a really long time. I've got all of his books, and I was like, is this real? And just to have that going on was something that is really precious to me, actually, because it was such a I just can't believe this is happening moment. And it was really beautiful and fun. Go for it, Kathy.
Okay. No, all I was going to say was what I also absolutely loved was the less confident presenters. I mean, I'm thinking Shay at the end. What an amazing, yes. All right, Christine. Yes. Due respect, my lovely. But she was so nervous, and to be able to give her a platform where she could practice her art, in putting the information forward in a safe environment. Because, what you've all been saying is that there was no ego, there was no competition, everybody was together. You knew that if you faltered, everybody would be there with you, supporting you 100%, audience and presenters alike. I mean, I had some wonderful ladies who came up to me before and, I was like, I'm bricking it, don't know what's going to happen, bricking it. And they said, don't worry, if you falter, we're going to start the Mexican wave. And it was just like, yay, girls, this is superb. You've just given me my fallback safety, so I'm absolutely fine now. But I just loved it that it was a safe environment for people who weren't used to speaking to have that chance to do it and to know that they could do it. And I just loved the applause that Shay got at the end, because she so deserved every syllable of it, because it was brilliant. So again, thank you, Robyn, because you provided the environment, and I know you couldn't dictate what actually happened, but if the environment wasn't right, the energy wouldn't have been right. So yeah, full credit there.
Oh, I think it's a credit to the people that were in the room.
It's both.
Really. Yeah.
I thought I could listen to Shay talk. I mean, it was like she has the most beautiful, soothing voice and energy. It was like being bathed in it when she talked. And you didn't know at all that she was nervous. You only knew because of the introduction, but she gave a seamless, beautiful presentation. And I do want to go back for a second to when you said what was one of my biggest takeaways. And I think seeing the beautiful love, sorry. Okay. The beautiful love of Robyn and Ward and Tyler in that family of people who are all themselves, right? They give so much space to each other to be themselves, and they love each other for those things. And even if you could tell, even if they disagree, or it doesn't matter. And the fact that exists in the world I don't think I've ever seen a healthier family. And I'm sure they've been through their stuff together. I mean, no doubt we all have, but
What happens in Austin stays in Austin.
well, I wasn't in Austin. That was San Antonio.
They know what
And
I'm saying.
Yeah, meeting Tyler too. I mean, what a beautiful spirit. I saw Warwick say something about Tyler never met a stranger in his life, and that is truly a great saying for him. I mean, what it was just magic. I mean, what a beautiful family, and what a beautiful thing that they're creating in this world in their own individual ways and collectively.
Well, thank you.
And what Robyn said about me was such a shock to me. And I don't think I've even yet been able to absorb it all, but I am truly grateful for you sharing that with me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for stepping up. You knocked it out of the park. So I have good instincts.
that is true. That is true.
It was so fun as well, because I didn't have any idea how the panel discussions would roll out. Like for me, that was just like, oh, well,
Neither did we.
Yeah.
Because on the outside, I had so much on my plate that I really said to work, I said, look, these are yours. You have got to take on these. I cannot do this too. I'll get you all ready and whatever, but they're yours. You need to do it. And up until they started happening, I had no idea how they were going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So sorry.
No, it's great. Yeah. It was just so fun because the opportunity to sit there with, colleagues and have the mutual respect and be all on the same team, as opposed to it sort of pinging between each other and you being like little satellite stations. It was so great. Like that was actually one of my favorite parts of the whole experience. And what I loved about it as well, I guess just personally speaking, is it just allowed you to show something different as well, like to have a different conversation that was perhaps more personally oriented. And I don't know exactly what I'm saying there, but I just really loved it. That was basically the clincher for what I wanted to share. Yeah. Kathy, did you share? You've shared your favorite part. That was part of it as well. Yeah, I was making sure I haven't missed anyone out. And then post summit, what I have definitely experienced is I have a different sense of bravery now. I think that's a really like tangible commodity that I've come out with, and that in part stems from, like going in, I felt, I don't know if I want to say a lone warrior because that's not exactly true, but I sit in my little office in the garden in the South Island of New Zealand, and I basically like oscillate between my office, the house, and the horses. And then my life is online, and I study and work, and I've had my head down doing that for a number of years. And then to emerge into something like the summit and have this incredible sense of like camaraderie and support from other people that are playing in the same arena as me, coming out of it, it feels like that's still really present. Like I'm not just a singular voice, and I've never thought of myself as a singular voice, but now it's just part of, I feel like I'm part of a bigger conversation again. And that in and of itself breeds this feeling like, I don't know if safety net's the right idea, but something's behind you, something different is behind you. And that's greater than the sum of the parts, and for me, that's something I'm so appreciative of. And you and Warwick also have such amazing role models for like pushing other people forward. Like it's not just, it could so easily just be about you guys, like you have this incredible platform, incredible audience, like all of these things, and you could so easily keep that to yourself, and you don't. You push other people into the spotlight, and that's unusual, I think, in many instances for how a lot of people operate in the same field, and it's also contagious, so it makes me want to do the same thing. And it's because I'm always so appreciative of that, and I know how much that's impacted my life. And so I just wanted to shout out to you about that as well.
That's
Yeah,
a work
I
in
think
progress for me, but thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think that's one of the takeaways I've got is expansion. Just I so hear your words, Jenny, with the, sat in the farmhouse here working, and suddenly suddenly inverted commas, all of these ideas appeared about how I could expand my work. And it's been amazing because I've thought of, oh, maybe I could go and do a workshop. And then immediately I'm going, well, I don't know what on earth I talk about. It's straight away, it sort of got shut down. And then literally within a day, it was, oh no, I could talk about that. And I think that expansion is a direct result of being in the energy of the summit and being around people who are doing things like this and who, you see their work, you see them, you feel that energy, and you sort of step into knowing what is possible. That
Mhm.
you just expands your energy. I've just literally written a piece about this, all of this funny people feeling not seasick, but this funny movement which I had as well.
Me
And I
too.
had it literally the day after we arrived, and I thought it was jet lag, but I swear it's more to do with the energy of what's going on there, because there has actually been scientific experimentation into this in a different format of meeting. It was about a teaching meeting, an energetic teaching seminar, and it shows that the energy, the actual physical energy of the place changes, and it's about enhancing the way people can learn and the energy of the people. So it was just so interesting. This was the second time that I'd experienced this, and in both times it was in this gathering of energy and information. And so I just think it expands you out. You start becoming that you can access more information because your energetic, if you like, person is bigger, and you can touch more. You begin to see what's possible, see potential. So that for me has been a massive takeaway, and I am still so much in the processing, because like you said, Christine, I think it's only about 2 days ago that I felt I'd actually come back into my body fully, that I'm going, okay, I can actually do a day's work now. Because I was like away with the fairies. I had no idea what was going on. And I was like floating around the house going, that's a nice wall. Yeah, I'll just look at that for a bit. And then like, oh, that's 2 hours disappeared, So yeah, that I think has been a massive takeaway for me.
Oh yeah, I made a joke that coming back from the summit, when people would ask me what it was like, I would be just staring at the wall with my mouth open.
Drooling.
Appropriate.
Eyes glazed over.
Yeah. How has it for you been coming home, Robyn? And because Warwick and Tyler took to the skies shortly after.
Right. They left on the Monday. They had to fly to Australia, which, in hindsight wasn't ideal, but we didn't know about Equitana and then what role he was going to, his role got bigger in Equitana as the year went on. So he couldn't not go. And then we had booked him a clinic also. And by the clinic, he was on the phone with me going, I want to come home. I'm done, but I got sick after too. And so I felt really disconnected, really, like you said, Kathy, floating around, kind of not in my body. It took me I think it was a week after I got home, basically from Austin. So that's 10 days after or 11 days after the summit. No, sorry. Yeah, it took me about 11 days after the summit before I could actually go outside and physically do what I needed to do between the flu and yeah. So it's only been the last week that I've been able to really start processing. And then I started watching the recordings, and yeah, so it's been, and then I'm also now madly looking for, new venues and deciding how many we're going to do next year and who's coming to what. And so, yeah, so the planning's already started.
Maybe you need to create a post-summit care package.
Yes.
Afterwards.
Yes.
for the come
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. And that is, we did a survey and there's been some really great feedback about, the things that we can integrate in, but the integration after for sure needs to happen.
Mhm.
Yeah. We need to create something that gets people integrated back into their real life when
Into
they get home.
society.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's definitely how it feels.
I really
was-
do like the summit group that we have on Facebook. It's beginning to feel like a community, and people
Yeah.
are really open and sharing, and it's that one that's been really good.
That's
So.
so fun. So fun. So is there anything else anyone wants to add? Or, I mean, we could go on about this for weeks. I will go on about it for weeks, no doubt. But while we're together and here, is there anything anyone wants to drop in or add?
I would say that, and I think I said this to Robyn, I think that whenever you level up in any way in your life, and I think that this summit was a leveling up for everyone who had the ability to attend or watch it remotely. There's always a period where you may feel uncomfortable in your body. You may feel like you don't even know really who you are right now. And if you look at that as a guidepost that's saying it's because you are leveling up, it's because you are integrating. And so the person that you were before this has to now absorb and become the person that you are after this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it, instead of looking at it as a negative thing, like, oh, I don't know who I am right now, or I feel really, if you look at it like, oh, that's the process, I am in that process, then you can welcome it and you can love it, because you know that it is for the benefit of you ultimately and the world ultimately. Every time we all level up, it's become more enlightened in our life, evolve.
Yeah.
So
That's so beautiful. Thank you. Kathy, have you got any perlers you want to throw in into the pot?
I always have. No, I mean, I just have such gratitude on every level for being invited, as I said, for the organization, for the people that were there, the audience, the speakers, the whole experience. I don't think you could ever have written beforehand what was going to happen. It was a power and an energy unto itself, which, as we've said, I think is a combination of all the factors of the organization, of the people, of the lack of ego, of everybody who just wanted to give the best of themselves and being okay doing so, both audience and the speakers. I've never ever experienced anything like that, and as I said, I'm so grateful to have been part of it. So yeah, just thank you. That's all I can say.
I'm excited to hear there's more coming, Robyn.
me too.
Yeah.
If you need someone to empty the bins, please put me down as that person.
Usher.
Yeah. I can use my best handwriting to write name tags, like any of that kind of facility I'm available for.
Excellent. Good to know.
Crissi, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you? What's your email and or website?
Wait, let me look that up. Hold on. Okay. So my website is onthepathcoaching.net, and my email is onthepath, C as in cat, H as in Harry, T as in Tom, CHT @gmail.com.
Perfect. I'll put all these in the links as well. And Kathy, do you want to shout out for your fabulousness?
Bless you.
I want to shout out for Kathy's
yeah.
I love being here. Yeah, so my website is www.kathyprice.co.uk, and then email is info@kathyprice.co.uk, and then I'm also on Facebook, Point of Balance with Kathy Price, and Instagram, I believe, is Kathy Price Point of Balance. I do like to ring the changes with names.
The variables.
I know,
love
just
that.
take the same words and just put them in different order. It's just,
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's correct, but just go with the flow.
And Robyn, where do we seek you out?
Well, it's funny that you're asking about me because everything's under Warwick.
Yeah.
So warwickschiller.com and info@warwickschiller.com.
And everyone can still access the recordings for a little while longer, so of the summit.
Oh, the recordings are going to be up for quite a long. I don't know that they'll be ever not up. So
Yeah.
and that's at summit.warwickschiller.com.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we haven't figured out how we're going to add to them yet. We haven't figured out what that looks like yet, but there will be more.
That's really fun. Really fun. Oh, well, thank you all for joining me today. This was so fun. Oh yes, Christine,
you.
go.
So my middle name is now going to be one more thing, which is, I did want to say one of my highlights was doing the ice bath with Robyn. That, and you'll be very proud of me, Robyn, I have done 2 ice baths since being home, and I have bought a package, and I've made my kids do them too, and they love them. So, but when you talk, we all know what the speakers' stories were, but when you started to hear the stories of the people that were in the audience and the people that came with us on to do the ice bath, it was mind-blowing. I mean, these people are incredible, and their stories are incredible. And there was a warmer one, there was a 55 and a 45. So I did the 55. No, wait. So I did the 55.
Fahrenheit.
And I felt bad because Warwick was doing the 55. He was coaching people in the 55, and Robyn was coaching people in the 45. And I was kind of like, well, I love you, Robyn, but I'm going to go and do the 55 because I've never done one of these before. And Warwick was such an excellent coach too. And I was like, oh, I got cocky. I was like, that wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to be so bad, and so then I was like, I'm going to do the 45 now. I mean, the 55 was no problemo. So there is a world of difference, people, between 55 and 45. And that became very apparent as soon as my toe touched the water. So, but having Robyn, Robyn just becomes this glowing angel that and I feel like, I hope she doesn't think I'm crazy, because I felt like my eyes were boring into her skull because
you didn't blink. You did not blink.
Because I was like, I have to focus on something that is not how cold this water is right now. And she really, really, it was like staring at the sun. I don't know what to say. Like you really almost meld with the person who is coaching you through this, because you are so vulnerable and you feel so scared, but it's them. Talk about co-regulating the nervous system. It's almost like you feel like your blood supply is co-mingling as well. That was one of my highlights of one of the best experiences, and I am taking that with me and incorporating that into my own life as well, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Oh, thank you. We're going to do a podcast. Work's going to do a podcast with all the presenters. And then I'm going to do a podcast with not all the ice bathers, but a lot of them. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Can you be in the bath when you do that?
No. No, I just I actually went I when I got home, my industrial professional ice bath was here. And of course I had the flu, and you're not supposed to get in when you're sick. And so I got it all ready, and I christened it yesterday. And it was awesome, but it was hard. And it was 44, and it was hard.
Oh,
I shivered the
For those
entire
of us in
time.
Celsius, the translation is Fahrenheit times pi minus the speed of light, if you want to get to what the Celsius version of that is.
I think it was 7 degrees.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or 3 or 7. Anyway, it was cold. And it's like starting over after 2 weeks out of the ice. It's like starting over. So it was good. I was nervous, and I had all the feels, and it was hard. Warwick helped me through, because it was hard.
It was a
But
thing.
it is something that I do believe it's also something that I found that fits me. And it's an honor to help people. Like it is, you are vulnerable. You think you're going to die, and to have somebody there with you, breathing with you, getting you through it. Yeah, it's an incredibly vulnerable moment. And I'm honored to do it. And it's one of my things now.
Mhm.
A thing. So we can look out on your podcast for your information and stories.
Mhm.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. Yay. Well, thank you, team. You're all amazing and glorious, and I love you all very much.
Thank you.
gotcha.
Thank you for having us.
And for dealing with all the time zone math.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I've become a time zone ninja of late, so it's like I can kind of figure it in my head now. So awesome. All right, everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. It was an honour to have you be a part of it. Once more, if you want to purchase the recordings to the Summit presentations, you can do so on summit.warwickschiller.com or on my website, confidentwriter.online. If you want to follow up any of the people that have been talking with us today, Robyn Schiller, Christine Dickson, and or Kathy Price, you can do so in the show notes. So you can find them on my website underneath this episode, or you'll also see them within your podcast app. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I am looking forward to hanging out with you in the next episode.